Thanks so much, Zoe. Yep, we have another amazing match coming around the corner to end off our day. A pretty chill day, I would say. Boston Uprising versus the Washington Justice, but this has some pretty important implications when it comes to the kickoff clash. Boston sitting in 10th. Remember, only top 8 go to the kickoff clash. So if Boston still have kickoff clash in their sights, this is a must-win series. But keeping them from that possibility is the Washington Justice. So that's gonna be a tough boss to get through.
Yeah, thus far, Lemon, this has been a good day for speedrunning enthusiasts. It's been games done quick all the way through, but if Boston want to be making it to our kickoff clash, this needs to be either a 3-0 sweep in their favor or an extended game where they can try and nick some maps off of the Washington Justice, who are looking pretty good and pretty angry after being swept by the Dallas Fuel. Since then, they've had a considerable bounce back, and I think that a lot of people are saying Washington Justice is going to win those ones, and they're not particularly hot takes, and they're pretty well informed because at the moment, Happy We Know is fragging out, but Decay, who has been here and there, Decay's either the best player in the world on your team or sometimes exists only in a hypothetical state. He's like Schrodinger's Giga Fragger. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. You never know until you observe him within the map, but Happy and Decay have definitely been a tour de force recently on the Justice.
I mean, I think Decay is looking unmatched on the Tracer thus far, and even Captain Nero from the Atlanta Reign. And speaking of Atlanta, I mean, Washington Justice had a massive bounce back from, you know, that 3-0 Dallas Fuel situation that happened last week to beating the Atlanta Reign, which a lot of people thought Atlanta was maybe over the Justice. I know everyone's power rankings are all over the place, but Washington Justice are on the up and up. But let's look at the Boston Uprising. I actually got to talk to Coach Mineral yesterday because I think any Boston fan is wondering what is going on with Boston. Where is Striker? What's going on with the tank situation? We saw Itzal yesterday. That looked just the structure wasn't there. And Mineral said there's a lot of long-term plans. All of the team is working very hard. And there's a lot of complicated situations happening in the back room, but I'm excited for Punk to be starting. When I spoke to Mineral about their tank situation, he said Punk is the most flexible, communicative, and also just the best leader for this team.
And you got to think about how much pressure that puts on Punk. Let's not sugarcoat this, Lemon. Boston Uprising are kind of an organ, a team in crisis right now, when they are trying their best to sort it out. But when it comes to in-game, you have to look towards that spiritual core that will keep your team being able to play at their individual best, even if as a team you might be not as effective as you otherwise would have hoped, and that is Punk. And his flexibility and his reliability when it comes to a skill on both the off and occasionally the main tanks as well has been one of a few things that have kept Boston Uprising in these games. Boston Uprising's only win so far, that one against the 3 Lemon, we cast it. It was their first match against the Vancouver Titans, and we gave Punk the player of the match because he was the standout player in that victory.
And just talking to Mineral about what the plan is for Boston, now you're wondering, okay, where would be Striker? Why is Victoria playing over that? Or Itzal, why would you swap in Itzal in the middle of the series yesterday? And the Boston, from what I've been told, are trying to balance between getting immediate wins versus obviously giving their rookies and their bench players some play time and really focusing on the long term of developing them. So they're working very hard at doing so. And then there's the MCD versus Crimzo situation where Mineral was telling me, well, MCD is more likely to play if Itzal is in the lineup due to Itzal's English not being all the way good yet, so the Korean communication is important between MCD and Itzal. But for now, Punk and Crimzo are in, and Punk has played a lot of Zarya as of late.
I mean, it fits for the ethos that Boston Uprising as an organization have always had, right? The president of gaming, Huck, has always been a big fan of the scouting and picking up the lesser rated players and being able to turn them into gems. Although for Boston Uprising, sometimes that the conversion of talent into online performance and league performance as well has been a little bit tricky here and there. Washington Justice, no surprise as to what they're bringing out. It's all reliable for Washington Justice, who don't seem perturbed by Dallas's attempt to change the meta.
And although Zarya and Reaper is very meta right now, the easy way to deal with the Zarya is to simply overwhelm her. The Zarya composition is built on kind of a slower pace of play and building up energy. And what Washington did is just collapse all around Punk. And there is a slight delay between the first and second bubble if Punk wants to use it on himself, selfishly. So Washington Justice identified that gap and just wiped out Boston immediately.
One augmentation that Washington have done here is that they've sort of happy from a soldier onto a Reaper, like to do even more damage to Punk, maybe identifying that, hey, if we can get rid of this leader, Boston Uprising quickly fall apart without Punk to lead them in the front lines.
I think Zarya is pretty good also against Tracer. You see that everybody that Decay likes to go after, especially Crimzo, is going to receive a lot more attention from Punk, and I think Punk is going to want to mark who Decay is going after. Speaking of which, Decay is looking for a health pack, looking for some friends. Justice are getting weaker. Happy has been found, and Boston might have given up the point at the start. It's about 40% for the Justice. You have some ultimates for the Justice, but not feeling like they want to turn this 4v5 around.
Worth noting as well that yesterday Boston Uprising did win a map against the Toronto Defiant. That was a control map, and to be honest, I'm not sure if it was Boston winning it or Toronto losing it, but it's still a map in the column, Lemon, and maybe Boston Uprising are particularly good at control. It is one of those maps where mechanical skill can really start to carry you through a little bit more, not quite as much coordination and long-term planning required, and Boston Uprising may thrive on that.
Well, there's a Bat Blossom in the backline. How did Valentine get there? And that's why you always have to mark where that Reaper is and really use your ears. I know sometimes that's a difficult concept for some Overwatch players, but you can hear the Reaper behind you, and you have to have your bubbles, your shield. Even a Lucio boop is enough to deter that Death Blossom, but that was a great ult from Valentine.
Yeah, good usage of the shield and the nano as well. I think that Crimzo probably gave the nano over onto Valentine as the TP was happening to make sure Valentine could be bursted down on arrival, even if that bubble was broken.
Oh,
and here is the Tag Visor. Interesting choice.
Visor from Victoria on the high ground, stepping down, maybe a little bit premature. Thought he saw Justice coming through the hallway. Decay at the pulse. Mag will lay down the red carpet. Valentine receiving some attention and even a bubble from Punk. Punk is close to the Graviton Surge as Justice start taking angles around a pole. The pulse almost misses or almost hits as Mag got slumped in front of Decay. Now the sound barrier from Boston into the Graviton Surge. Boston investing a lot of ultimates and the kills follow through. Oh, and a jump from Mag. He gets out safe, and Boston, they get the point.
Yeah, but now Mag's like deep in enemy territory. Yeah, that has to be the reset. This one was a little bit more intentional than False's one earlier in the day. Sorry, mate, but that still stings in my mind. I'm going to take those brain cells back by any means necessary. Washington Justice now have Happy ready to move in with a Death Blossom, but there's not too much to be able to support this, Lemon. No bubble, no nano. The only thing that can be bought alongside it is a speed boost from Opener. So this needs to be primo stealth mode for Happy, and thus far that has not been achieved.
And this is last fight. Boston at 97%. Washington have to get ready to touch. It will be Decay on the job. Valentine forced to use the Wraith. Could be a target that the Justice want to dive on. And Mag does just that. Uses the bubble to maybe split off the heals that Crimzo is providing. The Death Blossom from Happy. Mostly negated. He was even bio-grenaded, which made him just want to back off a little bit. But Mag disconnected from that approach. He went in without Happy. And he got found. Valentine finishes off a second. The Tag Visor committed from Boston. And now they have the capture point back. Overtime about to go away. Is Decay there? He's in the shadows with a pulse bomb, but it won't be Opener getting the touch. Decay will be back, coming back from spawn. Valentine's gonna shut the door on this round. Death Blossom mostly stopped by the shielding, and Washington Justice just struggling to get back on this point, and they cannot. 166 for the Boston Uprising.
I didn't quite see it there, but I think that Faith actually just kept Mag off the point with a mid-air boop, which stopped Overtime from being refreshed again by the tank, who would have had a little bit more staying power there with the shield. So excellent job by Faith. And I think that Washington Justice here might have got, they might have anticipated a little bit more of a happy gappy when it came to the Reaper, because they didn't really have many tools to help enable the Reaper, like you have from Punk being able to bubble Valentine continuously. And I think that may have left them in a poor position when it came to those particular clashes that maybe a Soldier 76 would have helped better in, or have Mag on the Zarya, which we know might not be in his comfort zone. Speaking of comfort zones, Punk is flexing over once again to the main tank, but we've heard from Boston Uprising that they are prizing the flexibility that Punk brings to the table, while also being able to call supremely well, which is so important on Winston.
Yeah, Punk has been one of the off-tanks in the league that have really stepped up to learn all these different tank rules, and I mean, look at that, I praise him and he delivers, immediately killing Krillin. It's going to kill this fight for the Justice. We're fighting for high ground, and you gotta be careful for those headshots and the right click from Soldier, because that'll end you right quick.
Gotta give credit to Crimzo as well. An excellent anti onto Krillin. generating an Ana differential here. And once again, Washington are going to be playing from behind Lemon. Having to enter into the zone of influence of Victoria means there's an extended, powerful poking phase for Boston Uprising, where, look at this, resources can easily be taken out.
And Boston just really greedy for this high ground, not really wanting to drop. And I wonder if Punk's bubble wasn't used in time, because Crimzo dying first there means they just really wanted to stick up there, and Washington Justice pounded them. So it's a good fight for high ground. Krillin was even behind on the rotation to the high ground, which Mag was still able to stay alive throughout that.
Yeah, Boston Uprising, they do like to stay on this high ground, even at potentially the risk of their own lives. Krillin here, instantly going to be under attack, but Opener is playing a good bodyguard right now, and Faith's looking for some knockoffs.
The bubble is still intact for Mag, so it's still a safe space where Justice can hold the space on the high ground. It's going to be important if Happy can stay up here with a tactical visor angle advantage. And I hyped him up, man. What's up? Justice now just only down in DPS. 4v5 is still very much doable. The pulse at the ready for Valentine. And so, wow, I did not think Krillin got stuck by that. I think maybe the tank walked into him. Either way, you have no supports and no hope if you're the Justice right now.
You've just been stuck by the Valentine Tracer. Where's your god now, Reddit? Boston Uprising. In defensive positions still, not trying to play the high ground this time. This looks like a much more aggressive posturing to try and catch people in a zone with a little bit less physical cover, maybe for a nano visor from Victoria. If Crimzo and Victoria can make sure that Washington Justice are going to commit in a place where disengagement's more difficult.
I don't think anyone expected this early of a nano visor, and I don't hate it, but Justice have the spawn room door right there, and I guess he forced out Mag's Primal, but yeah, Victoria in a little bit too deep. Now Mag, he gets to engage towards the point. Justice are kind of far behind. At least Krillin is in line of sight. Could give Mag the nano if they want to keep this going, but probably want to save this for Happy's nano visor for a serious win con. Now the highway is getting involved. The cars just ran over Krillin and Mag, literally. So now the Justice thought they had to get a counterattack, but I guess not.
Quite toxic from Punk. Washington Justice say counterattack. Punk says play in traffic, kids, and two of them go to do so. Mag and Krillin both taken out by that Primal Rage. Remember, this is not a seasoned Winston player we're looking at in Punk, getting some supreme value out of the ultimate against a much more experienced Winston like Mag.
Oh, nano visor right in the face of Punk, and everyone from Boston heading for the hills. But, I mean, the job is almost done if you're Boston. 99%. Washington Justice use the nano visor. They get the point back. They got a quite big gap to close, and at least they have 2 ults for the next fight.
At this point, Lemon, this would be an in-control reverse sweep if Washington can pull it off. 1 point and 99%. Boston Uprising can take this map if only a single fight win can be negotiated. Would it be off the back of something like a stick from Valentine? Will they be able to find a high-value target like for Krillin again? Valentine's actually coming in almost last at this point. It's going to be checked by Decay. This is a tough marking to try and deal with, especially without access to that mini pack, because it means that you have to continually play within the line of sight of your Ana or the zone of influence of Lucio.
Good boot from Opener. You saw Punk trying to take over the high ground. Happy is going to have a serious angle advantage up there, and Valentine doesn't seem... He wants to play more with what Punk is doing. Now the pulse is at the ready for Valentine. The sound barrier used from Opener. Valentine's going to wait. Hits Mag with it. Finishes him off. 5v4 for Boston as Punk now gets the nano. Is pressuring Krillin. Keeps himself alive for now as Punk is just playing hide and seek with Krillin, I guess, at this point. And this is the most Washington Justice this could ever get, to be losing a map to the Boston Uprising. But here it is. Boston will start off our series hot.
Oh, for Washington Justice, we're getting a couple of those dark flashbacks towards what happened against the Dallas Fuel. Things not coming together here. On control at all, Lemon, and that has got to be a little bit worrying, mind you. Boston Uprising yesterday, they got progressively weirder throughout the series. And one of the things that remains to be seen, even though I'm incredibly happy with how Boston have performed on this map, is if they will mess with what's working in order to make substitutions happen. Lemon, it's in the hands of the backrooms now. Washington just need to figure out where things are going wrong and how to fix them ASAP. And Boston Uprising have to figure out if this is their identity or if they're going to swap it up again. We'll see you after this break.
What's up, everyone? We're going to map 2 between the Boston Uprising versus the Washington Justice. And your 3-0 Preds looking like they're down the toilet because Washington Justice lost map 1.
Those 3-0 Preds, Lemon, they are looking busted. And I hear all the Boston fans before this match going, what day will we see Striker play again? There's only one day that matters, mate. That's February 14th, because it was all about Valentine over on Oasis. This guy who's had a couple of doubters over the course of this year achieved a deadlift. And that's named after a Fleta deadlift. A deadlift, Lemon, is when you get over 50% of your team's overall final blows. Boston had 20, and Valentine had 13 of those just by himself. Out of 15 eliminations, Valentine finished 13 of them, and that is bloody impressive.
Yeah, the Reaper Tracer setup from Boston worked out really well. Of course, just how close range control is in general. And I think Valentine and Punked worked really well together. Whenever I saw kind of Valentine straying away from the pack, he rejoined his leader of the pack, Punk. And I think that cohesion in the very chaotic moments of the fight helped Boston get a few edge them out. While as Happy, there was some choices, you know, the nano tac visor when Boston were coming out of spawn. There were moments where I think Krillin and Mag got hit by cars. I didn't know play of the game would go to a car today, but I've seen also Psycho on Doomfist. So it's a wacky day of Overwatch, but we're going into map 2. It's Kings Row to see if Washington Justice are going to climb back or what's going on.
What is going on, Lemon? That is the question. Boston Uprising haven't brought in Kalios for this. And that makes me think that, yes, they will still likely be sticking with the Winston composition here. Mag, of course, is an adept Reinhardt player as well. But we know that Washington Justice, maybe there's a chance that they decide to try and beat Boston at their own game, bring in Kalios, try and play that Xayah. Kalios is a fantastic Xayah player. In fact, I think they played a little bit for Boston Uprising last season and were one of the brighter spots on that languishing roster. Boston Uprising, though, for now, keeping in Punk, no swaps to Itzal. And you know what? After what just happened, I'm very happy that Boston Uprising have not pulled any roster shenanigans. You found something that's working, force Washington to adapt to you, and then make your change.
And yeah, that wasn't the only moment that Happy's visor was a little bit premature. I remember also a time where he visored on the high ground of Gardens and Boston hadn't even rotated in yet. So he's got his green boots on. Happy's ready to bulk up. That's also because of Opener's presence. But Victoria ain't finding much on the Widow. And we ain't got to stick to that. It's to the Soldier and the Reaper setup. Victoria's already rotating top of Theater. Decay on the Tracer, I think hasn't been as loud as we're used to. Decay, I think, you know, especially on Gardens, had a lot of his targets bubble. That's mainly Punk, who will return on the Zarya. The first dive was already started. Mag, half health. Valentine receiving bubbles. Now, I wonder if Valentine's going to want to TP to the top right, try to put pressure onto someone like Krillin, but goes after Opener and Happy, who really are not fazed by this.
See, the real toughie thing here, Lemon, for this Reaper composition on attacking Kings Row Point A is you can see where Washington Justice are playing, which is incredibly aggressive, but it also means if you want to join Valentine on one of these dives, you've got to go all the way up one of the stairwells, and that takes so much time. It means that Valentine is essentially solo DPSing anyone who's up there when they make their teleport, unless Faith is alongside them.
I'd love to see Valentine not go anywhere where Opener is, because the tiny little platform's very boopable. I'm seeing Krillin look very single, ready to mingle on the other platform. So Valentine thinking Opener and Happy are the bigger threats, and you have to assume that now. Happy is built up towards attack visor. Decay has the pulse bomb. Valentine shifts his attention to Krillin, but hasn't been successful at getting an execution. Now the raid is a little bit out of range from the team, and the right click from Happy destroys Valentine. You got a 4-on-4. Krillin will give the nano to Happy. The nano visor. Happy has been woke. Crimzo is molding, but Justice still need a little bit more work before they can move towards the point.
Yeah, Boston got exactly what they wanted here. They forced enough of a brawl that Washington Justice started to descend from those high grounds, and that meant that Victoria, Punk, and Crimzo could start to get involved with doing that DPS, and Punk's been rewarded for this by having access to a grab.
Honestly, like you jinxed all of this, because when you tweeted, you were like, oh, is Boston coming back? To the point where Justice is now flaming you on social media. But anyway, Victoria's setting everyone on fire with the visor. And like you've already cursed yesterday's series with the reverse sweep, so if you curse this one, I'm actually never going to see you ever again.
I have access to an entire compendium of hexes, thank you very much. And not just the one that runs Watchpoint. Victoria, for now, staying alive. Mag is going to be trying to claim some space here, but the grab is still available. Do you dare to solo grab any of these players to try and make the play for the point? You've got this much presence. There's no need to do so, Lemon. So now we calm down as we allow Washington Justice to make their getaway. And without full numbers here, there's going to be a good bit of free push for Boston, depending on how many people they decide to allocate to the cart. Currently, that is a grand spanking no one. And Boston Uprising are likely going to be looking to pull off a speed-boosted Nano Blossom here. Beyblade from the old days.
And Faith, I like that he's scouting also the top left for any flanks that could be coming. Valentine has gotten nanoed. Mag has already left this situation. And, you know, I love the fear that Valentine instills in his enemies. Now there's even more. The grab has been thrown from Punk. It's countered from the opener sound barrier. And Happy's ready to clap back. He has the nano visor. Decay throws in the pulse. We've invested everything but the kitchen sink if you're the Justice. But this nets them a fight win, and they can hold a very powerful choke point on this map.
Yeah, and Boston invested so much in this to lose it as well. What a boot from opener. Not entirely sure how Valentine got zero value out of that Death Blossom. It must have been a huge opener boop. Of course, there was the assist from Relucio in the kill feed, but Valentine must have taken a real haphazard position where opener was able to simply boop easily in one direction, and no one got caught by the AoE as Valentine was thrown elsewhere. And now Washington Justice can try and hold this area for years.
Oh, does Mag want to engage after that Wraith? Because the Primal Rage is at the ready for Mag. But no, he wants to hold the choke. Victoria steps forward, has the bubble. Mag gives him all the attention, and now he's going to give him the backhand. And now he's sleeping on the mini. Just was trying his best to dodge the Crimzo sleep, but has been woke and decides is also preserving his life, which ends up being huge for Justice. But they are very weak, and Krillin's back is on fire. It's bent over backwards trying to heal this entire team, but somehow Boston haven't really focused down one target. They've only killed opener, but at least Boston has some space on the card.
Yeah, a little bit more push space here, but not a complete fight win here, Lemon, and that's going to hurt Boston Uprising a little bit in terms of a generation of their ultimates. Yes, Nano is available, but Valentine and Victoria, they are still languishing around the 60s, and that means that Washington Justice, they can heavily control the tempo of the fight here using their own Nano boost in conjunction with a different ultimate.
Nano, too happy. The visor is going ham. I'm actually capping. It really didn't do much, but he was very safe in Mag's bubble. So that's, you know, living sometimes gets a gold star on your report card. Boston, few more meters to go. Minute 15 to do it. Decay's in the back line. The pulse. It whiffs. Victoria, good dodges. Faith is on the hunt. Decay, he's shaking in his boots. He'll be back. But Boston, they're heading towards the point. Decay is needed quickly. Mag is destroyed by the Reaper, and Valentine's Death Blossom quickly canceled, but it's still a fight win for Boston, who just capped point B.
There's a worrying trend emerging here, Lemon, that Washington Justice are getting meager value out of their DPS ultimates. Happy seems to be either miscalculating when Faith has the speed boost, or they're not counting Punk's bubbles. Something in the Washington comms is going wrong when they are considering the countermeasures that are available to Decay and Happy when they make these attempts at leveraging the resources that they've earned.
Mag just Goomba stomped Valentine. Now Punk is like, well, I guess we gotta maybe grab without him, but even Decay doesn't have pulse, so it's gonna be tough for just a tiny Tracer to trickle in all this damage, especially if you don't know how many bubbles Punk has. So we're gonna wait for Valentine to get back. But Punk still has perma 100 energy, so he's chilling. He's ready to go whenever the team are ready to int with them. The Justice have the Sound Bearer ready to counter that grab, but what's going to be their win con? It's the Nano Visor. The grab is thrown from Punk. Sound Bearer from Opener. The Visor from Happy, but no Nano love from Krillin. Not feeling very happy today. I got you, but maybe we're going to Nano Mag on the re-engage. Mag is pressuring down Boston, who have lost already too, and now you don't even need to use the Nano if you're Justice.
You see Happy sprinting forward at 1 HP into the front line. This is a man who trusts his supports or has no regard for his own life. And I love Krillin's choice there to not give a Nano to Happy. He was caught in the Graviton Surge, so the disengagement from Boston was already happening. And forcing Happy to play catch-up with a Nano would not have been effective at all. Now Valentine can be nanoed up top, or even better, Punk, if he can somehow negotiate himself a bit of higher energy to work with.
I think, yeah, you can justify a Nano on the Valentine if he would stick on that top right platform. Crimzo hasn't used the Nano yet. They watched Krillin do it first. The trigger has been pulled, literally. Happy unleashing Boston. Resetting again. 30 seconds, though. It's their last chance to cap the map.
And Valentine's having a lot of trouble generating the Death Blossoms here, and I think that that's being a little bit unfortunate for Boston Uprising. It means that they are unable to really control the tempo of these fights. At least now, a Nano Visor should be easy to pull off against a team that seemingly has already used their speed boost. And if they can force out a Winston bubble early, Victoria is going to be feasting.
All right, Crimzo, who do you love the most? You can only pick one child to save. Valentine will be coming back. Victoria gets the Nano. He heads back to go playing from front to back instead of maybe going after Krillin, who still lives in the back line. And that's due to Mag using Primal Rage. Victoria shifting its attention when playing with his team is where Boston looked their best. Now with this fight win, and they stagger Decay, that is big. A 5 versus 4. They've lost Valentine. Happy is back on the Widow, and his headshot 2 people. Alert! 911! Happy has killed 3! Crimzo is down! Boston barely have any heals! Pocket get no help! The Sound Bearer is too late! Boston have flubbed the bag. I can't believe Happy clutched that!
Hello? 911, I'm gonna need an emergency brain because it's headshot after headshot after headshot from Happy coming out at the end of King's Row. I'm getting the weirdest feeling of deja vu right now, and Boston Uprising are feeling pretty miffed about what just happened. An unbelievable bag fumble. It's been thrown out of a car window onto the motorway. Washington Justice managed to stall the car at the end after what was such a well-polished engagement from Boston Uprising. They managed to actually circumnavigate Mag's bubble by forcing Mag to not have access to that the leap for a shield. Oh, TP on me, will you? No chance. He crazy, man.
Oh, okay, I thought the slow motion was because that soldier was gonna peek. I was like, that's a mistake, boy. But also TPing in front of a Widow that is called Happy? Happy, who is truly goated with the sauce? How could you possibly do that? But anyway, Boston thought they had this fight in the bag. It's still a very good push, though, from Boston. But Justin, Washington Justice, or AKA Justin, have to go and cap the map to equalize the series.
Oh, this is fairly doable for Washington Justice, especially considering that they'll be able to have much easier access to these kind of high ground setups than Boston Uprising did, where they can have Decay start to blink around the back. And Happy, I think, is pulling an old Sure4 bamboozle here, where they are simply waiting for unaware players to take a peek. Unfortunately, that's a miss on Victoria, and Victoria ain't going to peek that one again, so Happy back over to the Soldier.
Now it's the same situation for Mag. Who are you going to dive? The Lucio guy, he got a mighty boop, and it's going to be hard. Mag drops the low ground, and is surrounded by Boston. I don't know if he had the leaf cooldown in time to jump away, but that would be the thought, because that Reaper of Valentine is scary. We talked about the deadlift. Don't mess with Valentine.
Valentine is a particularly scary individual. Krillin here is super isolated. No way he gets out of this alive. Wait, maybe. Opener. Okay, that's how it should have gone, Lemon. Just a little bit. Opener says, come in here and fight me, you coward.
Nothing traumatizes a Reaper more than an Ana with her back turned, I guess. So I don't know why you used that Wraith prematurely, but oh well.
No, she's showing me her spine. My worst enemy. Oh, well, Boston Uprising are at least doing a good job here of generating their ultimates. Almost a nano boost is good to go, but the same can be said of Decay and Happy generating their own. Control of the staircase here seems to be prioritized for the Washington Justice, and it does give them a good staging area from which to work. Good avoidance there of the nade. We saw that Mag actually invested his leap for that, which is going to slow them down considerably.
Oh, we love the new support passive, and Valentine did not love going down the Dark Alley and meeting the other team. So Justice, I'm surprised they want to push such a tiny choke with obviously Crimzo landing nades over there, but they were able to dodge the one that Crimzo threw and even just pressured him away. So the Justice squeaked by the hallway and survived through a whole visor that Victoria threw at them. So 2 minutes left, and Justice have been cut in half, where I guess that's not even number anymore in Overwatch 2, but Justice still are getting the point.
Drawn and quartered thus far, Lemon, and you can see the real drawbacks of going up through that staircase and going through a micro choke. That there's no cover available to Krillin once he gets into that position, and it means that they can easily be picked off by Poke from Victoria and from Crimzo as well. Washington Justice now with almost 5 ultimates. This has to be where they crack open this battle, because there's only a minute and a half left and they can't afford another reset.
I just don't have Justice being full held here on my bingo card today. I'll have to go check my stocks after this. Magus dove to the top right. The grab has been thrown from Poke. The sound barrier from Opener is used. And Crimzo lands a biotic grenade onto the clump of death. That is the Justice, who have lost yet another fight. And look at that timer, everyone. There's only, what, a minute left for the Justice. At least they have ults, though, so we pray. Everyone start praying.
This is now incredibly full holdable. Now you can get the Nano Death Bottom in here, and it can't be answered by the sound barrier from Opener, who's just a touch too late to save Happy in that grab. Boston Uprising have calculated this perfectly. All they need to do is get Valentine into a position to end this map here and go up 2-0, find match point for a team that's been languishing.
Nano visor at the ready, but you have to calculate these bubbles properly. The Nano given to Valentine, and the sound barrier disabled through the Death Blossom. Justice stuck around thinking Valentine was killable. That's absolutely not the truth. Boston investing ultimates in that. 25 seconds before Justice get held.
Oh no, not like this, Justin. Never like this.
Justin.
Yeah, why do they bring in the Washington Justin today? This is not the match that I expected. Victoria almost has themselves a visor here. Decay's around the back with the pulse one. Could they be? Look at this. The impression, Lemon. They don't care. There's no respect.
Someone is touching from Justice. It's Decay. Mag has to go back and primal to peel for his backline, and even through the early engage from Boston, they didn't get any kills. So now they're struggling just to rotate back. They've lost Decay on transition, and Opener falls. It's a 5-on-3 for the defense. And Justice, you can't do it like this. My friends, my pickums. Justice, you're trolling. Boston are on series point.
Capital D, colon. Boston, where did this come from? This is so well coordinated. The planning is solid. The calls, the overarching strategy. I don't know what happened between yesterday and today, but whatever you did, make sure you do it every single match day, because you are looking bloody spicy.
How is Justice gonna 3-0 the Rain, and then I'm gonna stop asking questions. Whoever is at my bed, wake me up from this dream. I'm gonna see you guys after this break to find out if I'm truly awake or not. Are your pick'ems boomed just like the Justice? It's not too late to turn it around. Next week is another chance to make your picks and win cash and prizes, just like Owl tokens. So don't forget, you can even do those pick'ems on the Overwatch League mobile app.
Oh, so fast, so convenient, Lemon. And it also means that Justice can make their pick'ems on their way to their therapy appointment after this. How nice of the Overwatch League to allow that. As we head into map number 3, it's going to be Circuit Royale. And, I hate to say it, Lemon, but I've looked upon this match and I'm kind of boomed at Boston. I am kind of boomed at Boston because we have ourselves some subs. And I know they said they're bringing in MCD and Itzal together because Itzal's communication is still catching up in terms of the English, so they like to play with MCD, and MCD comes in on matches where they perform better on a map-by-map basis. But we are going to Circuit Royale, and they are bringing in their Winston player for Circuit Royale instead of the off-tank player who's been leading them to victory very well, and we've seen quite a bit of success for off-tanks like Sigma on Circuit Royale. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of this, Lemon. Maybe at this point Washington Justin are just so boomed that they are gone. No, I refuse to believe this is for Justice. This is for Justin.
My brain is decaying at this point. I mean, we also did, there's a long-term and a short-term plan, and you have to balance that whenever you're incorporating rookies, so you can't just leave Itzal on the bench. That's so freeload to get paid salary just to not play, so we gotta give him some time, and the best time to do it is when you got a 2-0 cushion against the Justice. And that's where my biggest question is Boston still looking at the kickoff Clash qualifiers because they're not in a qualifying position, before this match started, but if they 3-0, I don't know. But Justice also had a substitution, Kalios in, and a lot of times teams bring in their off-tank players to play Sigma. We've even seen some Zarya here, so Justice going for a new look.
I'm definitely with you, Lemon. You've got to utilize your bench. I just don't think that bringing in the main tank for Circuit Royale is a good idea. Washington Justice on the other side, probably eyebrow raising. They've just subbed out their Winston player, Mag, to bring in Kalios as an off-tank. Like, yeah, this is what happens on Circuit Royale. But then again, Boston Uprising may want to try and play a faster comp here because they might not want to play Widow against Happy. Mind you, they're in the offensive spawn at the moment, so I'm not entirely just going to be buying into this at the moment. What we do know is that Washington Justice rolling out on the defense, they are very, very pleased to have Happy in his element on the Widowmaker. One of the most prodigious flick scan players that we have ever had in Overwatch League is now going to be potentially able to dig Washington Justice out of this hole somehow.
Now that you remind me of Happy, remember what Happy did on King's Row? We could be seeing a whole round of that, or maybe two. Feeling it, depending on if he's going to want to run that on the offense and defense. Happy versus Victoria. I'm stoked. Victoria has also had some really good showings on Circuit Royale. Now it's the jump. Victoria looking, sees no one. Happy's actually in the top left, so Victoria, yeah, still going to commit to this as Itzal goes on the Winston. So no Sigma for kind of this more paced style of play.
Alright, at least Vespedia makes sense in trying to make sure that Victoria has some advantages against Happy, keeping Happy on his toes. Decay is noted in this side room, but does have access to a health pack, so doesn't demand any real resources. Victoria's just being harassed right here, down to 1 HP, but that's okay. Gets out by the skin of their teeth, Lemon, and now Boston Uprising can continue to try and claim this corner, where Washington Justice are playing very hard for these 90 degrees.
Well, Kalios almost died. He got every pack in the book from opener, and Justice trying to hold their flank off angles very well, especially the little room on the defense, the left side. That's where maybe Valentine might sneak up on, but we'll see if Valentine can even close the gap because Valentine's dead. That's the danger, and why a lot of teams are moving away from the Genji. It's just not as mobile, not as flexible as a Tracer player, Tracer the hero can be, as Decay has just been constantly harassing Victoria, which even if not resulting in a kill, is still annoying the heck out of Victoria.
Yeah, and Valentine on the Genji also demands quite a few resources from MCD to stay alive. Krillin's been picked off here by Victoria, which is a good start, and now Happy's going to be forced to start to seed away some of this ground, at least that is if Kalios can be overwhelmed. He's in a pretty compromised position right now, but Open is doing their darndest. Why have you nanoed? Why have you done this?
For vibes. Honestly, vibes, going for the third kill.
Whose choice was this? Who's responsible? I want names, addresses, and numbers, because I'm calling your parents.
Well, you know what? Uprising, they get to move, so shut up, Leg Day. So, they're out of their spot. And that, just winning a fight is a smile on the Boston Uprising fans' faces and maybe even players. But Victoria versus Happy, there's also a difference of supports because of the Brigitte kind of blocking some of this line of sight. Meanwhile, Kalios is grabbing Gravitic Surge, not Gravitic Surge, Grab Flux, there we go. Got nothing, along with my brain getting nothing on that word. Victoria gets nipped by Opener. Boston may be weakened as Itzel has to buy time with the Primal Rage, and the Justice might have to back away.
Man, Itzel takes so much damage from a Tracer with a Discord Orb as well. You are so happy if you're Decay. It's Pulse Bomb after Pulse Bomb here, maybe looking to get Itzel low to finish him off. And you can see the Decay is just laser focused on the Winston right now. Go and have a cuddle with that Pulse Bomb, mate.
Well, Decay hyper-focused on the corner of that wall, and then got slapped, which is pretty much a death sentence in this game. Minute 14 for the Boston Uprising. I feel like Victoria's gotten a few more picks over Happy, and even through, you know, the Brigitte shield that I was talking about before. Now Boston have been completely reset, and this is a good place for Kalios to hold the corner.
Yeah, and Krillin still has for Trance as well, which is super important because the Nano Blade's coming up and Boston Uprising only have a couple of seconds remaining, which means that their opportunities to try and force Fish Trance are going to be heavily limited. And it's somehow have to trade his life for that. That's a really annoying order right there.
Ooh, Victoria, the headshot into Decay. That is hard to hit. Decay is so thin. But Boston are down 2. Even we're nanoing Victoria now because we just think he truly is the queen of this map. But Boston now have to reset again, and that Nano got them nothing.
Bro, what is going on? MCD's nanos in this game have been about as timely as Neville Chamberlain saying this is peace in our time in the late 1930s. It is not ideal. Valentine now is going to have to use a Naked Blade against Krillin's Transcendence. It is not going to be fantastic.
Are we just 0 people in those Gravitic Fluxes? I'll need to talk to some stats people. I'm going to need to talk to my therapist about this entire series. Boston have gone from series point to now maybe full health on this map. Transcendence from Krillin. The push starts from the Justice. Happy is, you know, existing in the back line as Kalios is pummeling the front line. And there is the full hole. Boston ain't getting nothing.
All right, and Valentine also there went to Blades and was supported by an anti-nade, which actually turned off the healing on the Brigitte, which meant that she could not receive a Transcendence healing, and Valentine, having gone up against a half-health anti-healed Brigitte, decided, you know what? No, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to return to my team. Great job. Not really. Boston Uprising, why have you done this? What possessed you when we went to Circuit Royale to say, you know what, no off-tanks. No.
We're just booming everyone's pickups, actually.
I am officially boomed. I am quite upset.
Nothing beats a choke like a bigger choke. That's all I gotta say. Justice, I mean, the plan is simple. Move the cart like 3 inches, and Justice, you can climb back in the series. The last time we casted you, it was on your holiday, the Washington Justice Day. And I think that was enough to buff you to a win, but I was not expecting this on your non-holiday day, huh?
It's okay. It's okay. This is not another reverse sweep plummet. We can't keep getting away with this. This must be illegal somehow. Washington Justice now are likely going to roll out just with a Happy on the Widow again, and then Boston Uprising, they're going to have to potentially get quite aggressive here just to make sure they can continually control the tempo of fights, because when you're playing against Happy, you are on an invisible ticking clock until Happy gets that headshot, because it's not a matter of if, Lemon, it's when.
I'm gonna have to talk to the stats guys. I feel like Victoria has been getting more picks, but I don't know. It's a different round. Victoria's now on the defense, which means just better positioning, more space, more options. Happy sees nothing. The defense not on the bridge. They're holding close as Itzel, jumps in, gets flailed by Opener, and that's just a layer of difficulty that Itzel is going to have to work through. Now we're hoping they just look more cohesive with Itzel after the Dorado that we saw, but Itzel goes into a small room and almost gets body blocked and killed. And Kalios maybe was baited, question mark? And he gets filed from MCD. And Justice will have to reset.
All right, credit to MCD, a fantastic bio and a really good fight. This almost already has Nano, 99%, and this might be a surprising bit of pace that Washington Justice may have trouble dealing with here, especially if they try and play within that small room again, because they believe that if Itzel goes in there, Itzel's doomed. However, if Itzel gets the Nano, it's a different story, lad.
This wondering, is Itzel just kind of vibing around this corner? Who we diving? We're going after Opener, the guy with the shield bash, the flail. Opener uses none of it. Itzel shifts his attention now towards the front line. Kalios is down. Nothing protects the Justice, but it's okay because the DPS of the Justice have stood taller. A pulse bomb into MCD. You only have Faith heals, and now you have none. Boston are gone, and Justice move forward.
Now, call me a hater who likes to take Owls Lemon, but did Itzel just jump on top of a pulse bomb that was stuck to MCD? Took a lot of damage there, but it's okay. Boston Uprising still have another fight here. And Washington Justice have already lost out on a minute and a half of their time bank. So for Boston, this remains truly winnable. However, Decay taking a little bit of additional damage. Itzel can be the tank in the front line with the Primal Rage, and well, he's going to have to be now. He's gone so deep in.
The fact that Decay is even taking body shots for Victoria. I mean, Victoria has headshot him before, only a few more meters over the Justice, and you have a Transcendence. You could just overpower the defense, but the rally and the Primal, Boston really get nothing out of that. Infrasight activated.
Oh, no
but
way.
you know what? Brain deactivated! Justice, take a map!
Long have we waited. C9 activated. That entire time, Kalios is still on 0 close kills, but it doesn't matter. Honestly, some analyst is going to have either a field day or an aneurysm watching this, because that was a map.
Okay, this is a Don't Laugh challenge video, okay? Overwatch League, upload this now. And see, can we keep our hair or will not? Can you imagine Watchpoint right now? They might have just left their trailer. They might have left the building. They might have just submitted their notice. it's a wacky day.
A window.
Oh my god, Reinforce is gonna have a whole Twitter about this one, but we're gonna send you guys to a break to recoup as the Justice are still alive in the series. you called the series the way that it was now, I'd call you a psychopath. But Justice fans, you could still, you're okay. There's a map that was won. There was a C9 that happened. Brains were deactivated, but we go to New Queen Street with the substitutes that are happening. And maybe Leg Day will keep his luscious vertical hair back intact. Leg Day, bring us through it.
I think that is potentially unlikely to happen, Lemon, but at least Boston have made a course correction here off of, it's going to be mean to say it, but what I think was the dumbest substitution I have seen in Overwatch League ever. And it's not that Itzal is a bad choice to bring in. It's just that if you're going to bring in a Winston specialist, why would you do it on the map where you are least likely to play a main tank out of all of them? In the map pool, Circuit Royale is the only one where you would consistently play something like a Sigma. And Boston Uprising took a look at that and said no. But now we are back to the regular. Punk is back in, the leader has returned, Crimzo is here. Looking to once again diff Krillin as we head into map number 4. It's going to be Push Lemon, it's going to be New Queen Street. And we've got to see if once again Boston Uprising's DPS Victoria and Valentine are feeling hot. Because for most of this series, they've looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, both teams have won a New Queen Street at some point. I think maybe even both against Toronto. I may be expecting now that Punk is back in the lineup to return to the ways of Zarya, which have looked really good. He's also played Zarya before on this very map. While as Justice, they didn't play this map since week 1, and that was when they were on their Genji stuff. So I wonder, Decay hasn't really done much of that, so I prefer his Tracer to say the least. But remember when Decay played Tracer into Punk Zarya? It didn't go well. That's just because Punk really is goated on Zarya. He just bubbles everything that the Tracer chases around. But Justice were good at overwhelming Boston's Zarya comp by just all diving together. That cohesion on the dive looked much better from Boston on, was it Oasis City Center? But now, it's only one side that's playing dive.
Now, Washington Justice will be able to access the backline maybe a little bit more easily, but Punk is definitely going to make sure that Valentine does not have any trouble accessing Krillin, and so this is going to be a difficult balancing game for Opener here, Lemon, because on one hand, you want to keep Mag sped up so that he can catch up with those supports and continually harass him, and on the other, you need the boop available to keep Valentine far away from Krillin and make sure Krillin can be sped away from those engagements.
Oh, Punk was so low, and he's like, this is my statue, this is my real estate. Have you seen the economy? I know, I'm not leaving it. Then he got bioed and killed, so sometimes you just have to let go, Boston.
You know,
but Justice will grab the bot.
It's an uncanny advantage in real estate, both a rifle and a grenade. No one's arguing with you about property prices then, Lemon. Decay is going to keep the bot moving along for now as Washington Justice, they are looking to set up for a dive, but already Valentine has made his own way in and trying to mess with the tempo of Justice.
You know when that Reaper guy says flanking? That was my impression. I hope you liked it. It's time to turn around and use your ears and eyes to shoot in the general direction. Keys to success here if you're the Justice, especially if you have that range. Use it. Get away from Valentine. He's already used Rate, so Valentine is going to chase down by Decay, and well, manages to scoop up Faith and Valentine in the process. So Justice gets to continue this momentum.
Feels like Justice is getting much better target prioritization and calls in this round as well. Like in their previous maps, even on Circuit Royale to an extent, we seem to be witnessing a Washington Justice who didn't know what they wanted to attack. Like, oh, Punk is a threat. No, Valentine's popping off. Kill Valentine. What about Victoria? She's peppering us from the high ground. And all that time thinking that Crimzo can't be allowed to free cast. Speaking of which, Venano's good to go alongside a Visor as well. If a retake is demanded, here it is, Lemon.
The Nano Givens are happy. Victoria's dead on arrival. And I think he probably even received the Nano from Crimzo, and he Visored. Happy's dead too. There's dust everywhere. There's dead bodies hitting the floor. 46 meters up from the Justice, not too shabby. We got a 2-on-2 as Mag is like, nope, you ain't even worth it, buddy pal. So I guess Boston get to see some meterage.
And now when it comes to Boston trying to bring Timmy back towards their own barricade, they're going to have to win multiple fights in a row here, Lemon, to even be able to meet the meterage that Washington have already proffered here. Decay has access to a pulse bomb, but where do you put it? Ideally onto Crimzo, and you can see how, at the moment, they're so close to Punk, might be the #1 target to try and take out.
If Punk is going to play this top bridge, he might just want to hold hands with Crimzo a little bit more. It's tough to get a good line of sight on anyone who's high ground, just naturally on Overwatch. So Boston still fighting for the bot control. Mag is on the high ground. Boston very much aware they have eyes. And Crimzo, he sees that. And he's already just backing away as far as he can. Punk is going to peel for him as much as possible. And this is great. Boston are all playing together to be ready to fight into the ground that Punk wants to throw. He has like a crumb of energy though, so kind of wish people shot at him a little bit more. And now the bot is going left and right, indecisive. No GPS activated. 46 meters for Justice. A Sound Bear, a Primal, a Grab, and there's a lot of options here. We're just in a very relaxed state of mind. No one really wants to fight. Justice are over on the statue side. Boston are approaching Punk. Sees Mag in his space, ready to throw the grab. It's the Sound Bear first from Faith. They engage in. Mag escapes. He slept. Great shot by Crimzo. Now the Nano is given the Happy, who gets grabbed, and my Spaghetti's on the floor.
The spaghetti has been spilt, Lemon. That is a certified Mamma Mia moment. And that's going to be Timmy reaching the barricade. Oh, the Nano Visor here might be a bit more of an investment than I was counting on, because now Boston Uprising have literally nothing for the next fight, and Happy is going to have a free, an unperturbed visor from the high ground. He's going to be moisturized, got his goggles on, in his lane, fragging out. Washington Justice now, though, they have to try and figure out where they wish to take this fight, because they don't want to be eclipsed in terms of meterage, and have some room to try and bring Timmy back towards their own barricade for later push.
If Boston win this fight, they may very well take a lead. Valentine is sleeping. The 3-2-1, sometimes you got to learn how to count. He was able to recall away, and with more synergy, that would have been a kill, by the way. But Justice hanging around, Happy, going to be left alone. He's getting pressured actually by Valentine. He wants to use the visor. He's going to use his vanilla aim, but his eyes ain't working. Happy never visors. Decay is sleeping, and Boston are about to take back this car and take the lead.
Oh, Washington Justice, that was so weird. They should have known that Boston Uprising used all 5 ultimates in the previous fight, and now they're getting close to so many of them again. Decay, I assume, is saving the the pulse bomb for the next point. I don't know. Happy, the same thing. Had an option to try and take out Punk, but they thought it would make him too much of a public enemy to try and deal with. Forward spawns activated for Boston Uprising here, and now Washington Justice are on the back foot, and it's Boston Uprising can play around the mid lane and just stall Timmy looking for the ideal fight.
Yeah, Boston don't even have to push the robot anymore. They can just hold this area of the map forever. They have the 58-meter lead. 2.5 minutes, though. We'll see how long you'll last. Crimzo gets pounded by Mag. Happy unable to exist. Boston have a number advantage. They've used the Nano onto Victoria, who's working on the visor as best as he can. The backclap from Mag was quite weak. Quite a 5'2" of you. Now Boston are pushing the bot, and they have ults. I mean, I don't want to call the full cap yet, but it's looking pretty good.
Decay's still holding on to his pulse bomb, man. Is it a family heirloom? Get rid of that thing. Give it to someone. Give it to anyone. Ideally an enemy. That would be much better for you. Now we have a Nano again. This can allow Mag to make a much deeper engagement, but at the same time it can be answered so fruitfully by a Graviton from Punk. Just solo grab Mag and make his life hell, because you know that he doesn't have Primal.
Some juicy looking pulse bombs though. We'll see if that family heirloom hurts real bad when placed directly on the forehead. The Nano given to Victoria. Decay throws the pulse and gets wrecked by Victoria. And holy cow, it's a 3K! Boston win a fight! It's already 84 meters! Once the bot crawls up to the barricade, Washington Justice are going to have their backs against the wall.
Boston, they invested a lot there, but every single ultimate was worth it, Lemon. The Nano was counteracted. Decay missed the pulse bomb. Punk was going to be able to bubble it anyway. And now Mag just has to try and put himself between the barricade and its goal. Boston Uprising is so far ahead at this moment with only a minute left. This could be a series win and a kickoff clash potentially saved.
Oh, Decay's elbow finally helped finish off Victoria. Boston missing a prime source of DPS, and with Crimzo gone, no shot that Boston could full cap this. But Justice don't really have much left either. It's just about surviving for them, as Decay and Opener are having a lot of issues doing just that. It's just Decay who's able to stall this out. He can blink all he wants, he'll eventually run out of those cooldowns, and Boston not too eager to chase him, as now without Crimzo, they're thinking, okay, maybe we just don't stagger. That's actually a smart decision.
Punk just spared back to Crimzo. That means that Nano is going to be available very soon here, Lemon. And remember, Washington Justice need probably to win 3 or 4 fights to even draw even on distance at this moment. And there's only 26 seconds in which to do it. Decay could get themselves a fruitful pulse on going in through this door, but doesn't wish to stick it to Punk when they could bubble themselves. Happy's already dead. No way.
It's a must-win Soundmare from Opener, but Krillin is dead. The pulse bomb lands on the Krillin's forehead, and Boston are playing so well together. Now staggering out Mag, the Primal Reach, maybe be used on the bot for overtime purposes, and Decay might just get slapped in the forehead. He actually disappears along with the rest of the Justice fans. Busted Uprising have won the series 3-1.
Oh, behold, OCE Overwatch fans, it's the Punk that was promised. And it seems like Season 5 of OWL is going better than Season 8 of Game of Thrones. Washington Justice, it's all question marks all over at the moment. Because as wonderful as this is for Boston, I can't help but wonder if this could have been a 3-0 Lemon. Boston Uprising's DPS today have proven that they belong in this league, and they've been doing incredibly well this entire time.
Yeah, I mean, Happy might have been the better Widow on circuit, but Victorious Soldier was demolishing Happy. I mean, I barely saw any Happy sacrifices at all, just because he would get grabbed immediately by Punk. Decay, everything he went after was getting bubbled and wasn't able to get those clean one clips that we know Decay for. And with Washington not able to kill fast enough, that Krillin and Opener are exposed. So Boston, they look good. And you can quote me on that, because Boston played well today, and I'll stick by that.
I mean, I just watched Decay and Happy get diffed, and one of the people who managed to diff them was this player of the match. It is, of course, the deadlifter from Oasis, February 14th himself. Beloved, you've been waiting for. Valentine picking up the Reaper in this competition has been a real gift, and it's hard to believe this is the same Valentine and Victoria that we saw yesterday against Toronto, Lemon, where their performance was not inspiring, but now we know that the Boston scouting has been strong with these players and they have the potential. The overarching plan just needs to be solid, and when Punk is in, this leader that's been trained up, this caller that's got so much enthusiasm from the back room of Boston for their ability to communicate and to plan forward. Seems like everyone's on the same page when Punk be calling.
Just everyone on Boston playing well together, which is what we wanted to see. Boston together, like a happy little family. Because on, Dorado and let's say Circuit Royale, when Itzal is in, Itzal, I think Mineral told me, just flew in before their first match of week 1, so was behind on scrim time. So there's a justification to Itzal not being up to speed with the rest of the team. So they brought him in for one map, getting in some play time when you have the 2-0 cushion. But once Punk got back in, you saw how much of a difference that made to everyone playing together. And Valentine shined really bright today, and Victoria as well. But Valentine's Reaper especially just made Mag's life a living hell, along with the cars on Oasis, which I wasn't planning on saying today. But this has been a fun and wacky match. My Preds are boomed like they.
And I think that this match, Lemon, has highlighted the difference between some of the teams that have taken towards this more Dallas Fuel style of play. And it's highlighted some of the teams that I'm more happy have done so and less happy. On the less happy side, Toronto Defiant, they are looking, in my opinion, worse for having swapped over towards the Reaper and the Xayah when they were pretty well served by Finale and Muse and the Tracer Winston. But on this side, on Boston's side, Punk is excelling on the Xayah, and Punk is bringing such strategic depth that keeping that Xayah in by keeping Punk in has been a huge tool for Boston to be able to overwhelm Washington, who looked somewhat lost when they were being ran over with such cohesion today.
Well, that is the end of our series and our day, but I'm so excited to hear what Watchpoint has to say. Is Reinforce still in the building? We'll bot check on that, but we're going to throw it to a break, make sure our desk is ready and settled, and we'll see you guys later.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to the post show, everybody. I'm here joined now by Punk from Boston Uprising. Hello, Punk. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing very well, thank you.
I mean, you look very, very happy. That match was something. Yeah, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think a lot of people predicted that Boston Uprising was going to win this match. I think it was 85% of our viewers voted for the Washington Justice, and the rest 15% were on the Boston side. But today, you guys were the victors. How'd you guys get it done?
I mean, we're a professional organization. We've had some stuff going on behind the scenes, but to come out today and perform like that feels really, really good. Shout out to Johnny.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I mean, I do have to say, you guys looked phenomenal today. I mean, and also, you guys played yesterday as well, and I honestly think you guys look like a totally different team. Like, did you guys change anything after yesterday's match? Like, was there any like talks that went on, or was it just the fact that you guys are a professional organization? In just about in a day, you guys are completely different. Like, what happened?
I mean, it felt completely different. Like we had some like, just like the game day vibes were kind of off, and we just weren't really ready and like fully committed 100%. Everyone's going for it. But today, we showed up and we were all in. Everyone was 100%. So it was just a completely different team today, and turned out with a win.
Yeah. And one last thing, I know a lot of people were, wondering about this. You guys tend to make a lot of substitutions mid-game and like trying to sub in a lot of other players as well. What's the strategy behind that? Is there like any specific reasoning for substituting a lot of the players that you guys have?
Yeah, I think to answer some of those questions, it's like, obviously our coaches make those decisions and based on like what comps we're playing, who's playing with who. So I think obviously for our substitution today, it's going to play the Monkey and MCD, because then you've got full Korean lineup and you can all communicate in your own native fluent language. So I think that's the reasoning. But
right.
They're great players. Unfortunate they couldn't get the win, but we're all still a team. We're all doing well together. So.
True that. Thank you so much, Punk. That is it for the interview. And again, big congratulations. Big congratulations. I hope I could talk to you soon again.
Thank you very much. Me too.
All right. Thanks, Punk. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Punk. Congratulations to the Boston Uprising. And to Punk specifically, because he just made your day, didn't he?
That was amazing.
That was incredible right there.
What a match. What a match we got to see.
Well, yeah, what a match. So let's break it down. This was actually, definitely not the outcome that any of us expected, and it could have been even cleaner. That could have been a 3-0 if it weren't for certain decision-making heading into map 3, which we just completely and utterly ignore now. That never happened. Everything other than that, though, I think there's a lot of players from the Boston side we need to highlight, which really stepped it up today. Because I threw Scott under the bus with so many negative things to discuss. Scott, give us the highlights of this one. No, this one has some good bits and bobs. That's a good one for you, no?
You were all in on Washington, huh?
Johnny, I don't want to hear it now. I don't want to hear it right now, okay? I just started to believe again. It was like 2021 all over again. I'm having flashbacks to this moment of Washington Justice. They look good. Everything seems to be coming together, and you're like, this is it. This is the team we were promised. I said happy was the key to everything unlocking. And the frustrating thing about it is I don't even know where it all went wrong for the Washington Justice. Like, they just were a completely different team. I want to give props to Boston. They look really good when they have Punk in on that Xayah, Crimzo in on that Ana. Like the synergy is great. Valentine's getting in there, doing good bubbles. Honestly, if you had taken off the Boston Uprising tag and put Dallas Fuel, at times I would have believed it. Not perfectly, but at times I would have believed it. But they look drastically better than they have in these last few matches. And as you said, I don't want to talk about map 3. Punk did a great job of sort of explaining the subbing strategy for this team, but whatever that strategy is, they need to throw it out the window, because putting Itzalon on Winston to play Circuit Royale doesn't make any sense to me. If they can defend that in some way, I'd be curious to know, but it obviously didn't work in the match. And the Punk Xayah, like, I was so worried they were going to throw away all of their momentum from the first 2 maps, and then they were going to get reverse swept by Washington Justice. Big props to the Boston Uprising to keep composure going into New Queen Street and like closing out the map. Punk is so sick, especially being able to pick up the Winston in such a short amount of time in Overwatch 2. So big props to those guys.
Punkston.
The Punkston.
Absolutely. Yeah. You got to give them some credit as well, because they just lost. And they come back here and they look revitalized, like Punk mentioned as well, come in completely different game. And they swapped over and started playing the Zara composition. It really benefits them. Punk is like a great off tank in that regard, and he knows that pick, and then being able to play around that as well. It's a style that several teams have picked up, and I think we're going to see some teams benefit from moving over to this Zarya, and others who perhaps rely too much on Winston, they might perhaps fall in the rankings if Zarya becomes a more permanent kind of pick. And I mean, for the Washington Justice, I don't want to oversimplify things, but this was like the Washington Justice we know and love. Like, they're super passive. And so when we look at them versus Atlanta Reign last week, they look amazing, because they can just sit back, they can abuse the fact that the Doomfist has to engage, place a defensive Winston bubble, play around it, poke them down, and just run them over, right? But against the Boston Uprising, you can't play defensive Winston into a Zarya, because the Zarya is just going to slowly take your space. It's slowly just going to poke you away, and you can't get any of these Zarya bubbles out. You can't get the Reaper Wraith form out, and the Washington Justice could just slowly run over. So they got to figure out some proactivity, because the passiveness is not working for this team, and it hasn't now for about 2 years. I'm oversimplifying a lot, so I apologize for that. But that's a general thing of it.
At this point, I'm a little surprised, though, that there seems to be just a few teams who don't quite understand how to approach such a Zarya Reaper come. Like, at this point, we've seen a lot of teams picking it up, and if you have a team with Punk in it, like, you can rest assured they're probably going to opt for such a composition. So you should have something in your back pocket prepared for that and engage accordingly. Alas, that was not the Washington Justice today. So unfortunately, they had to collect an L on this one. And so did all of our Preds. So huzzah, we're all in this together. Now, it felt like a short day, but it felt like a long day. Everything was very confusing, and the most confusing part was to pick a favorite moment out of that. So we were on an emotional roller coaster that we just couldn't do it. Yeah. It was just not possible. However, there was still something that Reinforce wants to get off his chest, I've been told by
I mean, first of all, best of the day, I think everyone would say Boston winning there
that was pretty good. Yeah,
that was an amazing match outcome. Yeah, amazing. But, we were watching the matches, and I was thinking to myself, between all the analysis and stuff like that, why is Symmetra teleport out of spawn like a thing for damage players? I don't get it. How are we 6 years into Overwatch, and it's like a chore that all damage players just have to teleport their team out of spawn for 2 seconds?
Is this what keeps you up at night?
Position advantage? Why is this a thing? Why can't we just speed boost out? Why do all damage players have to hey guys, you guys go forward, and I'll swap the damage. This is such an unnecessary thing to society. We as a society don't need it. Why is this a thing? Why can't we just speed boost out of spawn and be we're on the 6? We're a team, we push forward. No, one guy gets left behind, and I have to catch up. Why? Why does this exist?
It's faster, Johnny.
I don't get the purpose.
Do it. No, you gotta do it, because if you don't do it, the other team will do it, and then you're slow. What is it? What are you trying to say? You're kind of saying it's why don't we all just play Reinhardt? And then, Johnny, you can unretire and we can all play Reinhardt. It's because it's not good.
Neutralize the battlefield. No one needs it. No one needs to do it. The speed boost, both teams five on each team clashing, and it's perfect. Why does a DPS player have to stay in spawn and Symmetra teleport out the others? Every control bank. Why? It's so pointless. Why are we doing this as a game?
Is this the
nature? I'm not entirely sure, actually. But I feel like the nature of today's games gave Jonathan too much time to think about these kind of things. So I guess that was our rant of the day, and I, for one, really appreciate those. And yeah, maybe someone's listening.
It's so
Yeah, maybe someone's listening. I'm sorry that they did that.
Can we just speed boost out and run out like normal people? Like, why do you have to teleport?
Can I cheer you up? Can I do something to cheer you up? Like a look ahead at APAC matches.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. So how about that?
I like APAC.
Yeah, and we're going to start on Thursday with the APAC matches since they have a little catch up to do. Now we are going to kick things off with Philadelphia Fusion and the Seoul Dynasty. Afterwards, the Chengdu Hunters will face off against the Hangzhou Spark. And then the last match of the day will be played out between the Shanghai Dragons and the Guangzhou Charge. But fret not if you're looking at those PT times. I understand it's a little early. However, since we're not going to be broadcasting on Thursday, we're back on Friday. That means that right after they're done with their first run through, they're going to have a rerun. So you can watch the encore and don't even have to wake up all too early.
Right.
Just for you.
Extra day of Overwatch.
I know, it's an extra day of Overwatch, extra day of action. That means that on Friday we have even more to talk about and to unpack. We will be back again with our Watch From pre-show and plenty of games to round out that first tournament cycle on a Friday, so you don't want to miss out to see who's going to end up clinching their spots for the kickoff clash. Gentlemen, it's been an utmost pleasure once again to have you in here. I know some of the games were rougher to get through than others, but what a fun day, right? What a fun day of Overwatch. Kasta, we hope to see you again, like in person. You know,
on Friday, okay? Everyone's staying inside until Friday, and then we're all gonna hang out. We're gonna cram into that desk or truck together, and we're gonna all hold hands, and it's gonna be great, okay?
It took us 4 weeks.
It took us 4 weeks to get all four of us to get. Unless. No, stop it. No, we're like. Everyone gonna keep safe. We're gonna see each other on Friday. Save the date. It's gonna be great. Thank you all for watching. We will be back again on Thursday with the APAC matches. Don't want to miss it. Goodbye.